Good day and welcome to your favorite sport program on TV, 360 Sport. I'm Mudashiru Shitu. I'll be your anchor in the next few minutes to look like one particular topic that has been trending across the Nigerian sporting sector. I'll be talking about this alone. I have a veteran sport journalist who has done so well for himself in the world of sport. Talking about Kunle Solaja is going to be my guest on the show as we look at this trending topic about the appointment of a Malian, the appointment of Eric Chelle as the new Super Eagles coach. In Abuja, it was announced after so many days of waiting who is going to be the next Super Eagles coach after the resignation of Finidi George, almost 10 months now, and after the fact that we know that Austin Iguavon is not going to be the coach. So the Nigerian Football Federation, led by Mohamed Guzo, settled for a Malian, but this appointment did not go well with Nigerians, so it has caused a lot of mixed reaction about why should we appoint a Malian. Some said that's a good decision, but majority of Nigerians felt that that's a slap on the face of Nigerian coach. That if you can appoint a Malian, why if it's a Malian you intend to appoint, so why don't you just appoint any of our local coaches? So, but talking to me, like I said earlier, is Kunle Solaja, who will dissect and tell us many reasons and is an expert opinion on this appointment. It's good to have you on the show, Kunle Solaja.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Yes, are you, as well as millions of Nigerians, let me don't use the word devastated, let me use the word surprised that Eric was appointed as the coach of the Super Eagles?
I'm not disappointed, and I will say it's not a shock to me. Even though I don't know so much about Eric Chelle, but most people who are angered by his appointment are doing so because of where he comes from. He's a fellow African, and this is the first time since 1949 we will have a non-Nigerian African handling our national team. And I don't see anything so special about it. It's not unusual to have nationals of your fellow continent guiding your national team. We've had Nigerians before who handled the national teams of other countries. Christian Chukwu has handled Kenya before. Stephen Keshi had handled Togo and even handled the same Mali we are complaining about now. We've had Onibide handling Trinidad and Tobago. We've had other nationals handling other national teams of other countries. So, and we nearly had, what do I call it, an Egyptian handling Adas Hassan Shehata. He was one of the lead applicants when we were going to the World Cup in 2010. If he had been appointed, an Egyptian would have been leading our national team. So personally, I don't see anything wrong. People are just looking at it from the point of parochialism. You can ask yourself, a country like England, which is one of the most highly regarded football nations of the world, and very, very conservative. You know how the Englishman is so conservative about whatever that is in England. More so that up to now, they are pulled out of EU. They don't spend, they still hold on internationally to their pounds. They won't spend euro. But when it comes to football, they open up their mind. For the third time in less than 20 years, they are having a foreigner as their national team coach. They've had Eriksen, they've had Fabio Capello, and now they are having Thomas Tuchel, a German. So if England can go for foreign coach from the same continent, why can't Nigeria do the same? Up till last year, Brazil, one of the lead football brands of the world, was still itching to get the Italian coach of Real Madrid to be their own national coach. So we cannot say because somebody comes from Mali, he cannot be our national coach. And besides, this same man led his team to beat the Nigerian national team 2-0 last year. So which means he has all it takes to be a national coach. We should not just pigeonhole him because of where he comes from. That's my take.
Yeah, well said. And do you think this set of Nigerians who believe that Nigeria is a powerhouse in Africa, yeah, especially when it comes to football, and records and history has shown that when it comes to football in Africa, that we are one of the powerhouse and one of the biggest exporter of football talent to Europe and to the rest of the world. Don't you think they are a bit justified to think a Malian who perhaps, quote and unquote, according to his profile, does not have that pedigree, sort of, that is not different from the fellow Nigerians? It's not as if Eric pedigree or his profile is bigger than all, some other African, some Nigerian coach. Don't you think that it's a bit justified for us, them to think that Nigerians don't deserve, if we are complaining of we don't want Pasero or Garnachoy, why then do you bring a Malian coach to coach us? Don't you think that justified to an extent?
Maybe I should also put the question back. Tell me which Nigerian today can lead the Super Eagles. That's one. Two, no country has won the World Cup more than Brazil. If Brazil can be angling for Carlos Ancelotti, a European, and even better, they are not just even asking him to come, they were putting pressure on him, and the man has consistently said he was, he was comfortable with handling Real Madrid. So why should Nigerians think a Nigerian must be the one? What is the level of domestic football in Nigeria? Look at the statistics, speak clear. How many Nigerian clubs have won any continental competition in the past 22 years? None. How many times have any Nigerian club been able to perform anything meaningful? These clubs are being handled by Nigerian coaches. How many of such clubs have performed wonders in the continent? How many times have we qualified for CHAN? These are indices you can use to weigh the relative strength of the Nigerian coach and Nigerian football. If Nigerian coaches are handling Nigerian clubs and they don't perform well in the continent, how do you think they can do well handling our own national team? Years before, yes, you can say there are legions of Nigerian coaches that can do it. But as at now, mention one that can do so. I personally don't think any fear is justified about the appointment of Chelle. You see a Ghanaian coach handling Sudan and they're doing well, qualifying for the African Cup of Nations. And Ghana itself, with its own coach, even though foreign, cannot qualify. So the footballers transcend the era of parochialism, whereby you think that for you to play for Enugu Rangers, you must be, for you to play for Shooting Stars, you must be Yoruba. For you as a Nigerian coach to coach Shooting Stars, you must come from Southwest. Or for you as a coach of Enugu Rangers, you must come from the East. Football has gone beyond that. Football has become technical. If you are good, you are good. If you are not good, you go and brush yourself up. How many Nigerian coaches have gone for refresher course, either locally or abroad? So we keep recycling the same thing, and if you are doing the same thing the same way, you can never get a different result. That's just the situation. The Nigerian coaches should go for refresher courses abroad.
Well said. Now let's not look ahead for the tax ahead for Eric Chelle, who obviously is not. A lot of people say they don't envy the position he finds himself as the Super Eagles coach. Two World Cup qualifiers in the next few months, beyond whether we want him or not. You probably have said earlier that you cannot, except I didn't get to right, that you cannot justify whether you don't know so much about him. But with what has been said so far about it, do you think, do you envy him that he's probably going to take Nigeria to the World Cup, or how do you think he's going to face the task ahead of him?
I also had a book called The Second Most Difficult Job of the Land. That's a book that chronicled the exploits of coaches or managers, as they prefer to call it, of the English national team. That apart from being the premier of the prime minister of Britain, the second most difficult job to do is that of managing the England national team.
Mm.
And the same scenario also happens here. Apart from being the president of Nigeria, the most difficult job for anybody to take or for anybody to handle is that of the coach of the national team, because of the passion people have for football and because of the peculiar difficulty that are in our own terrain. Nigerian football now is in a precarious situation, especially we stand in danger of not qualifying for the World Cup except something very, very dramatic happens. Now, it is not that it is impossible for Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup, but it is not easy. And that is the major headache that Eric Chelle is going to face. His first baptism of fire is coming in a few days, sometime in March 17, if I get this right. He just is compelled to defeat Rwanda in Rwanda. You remember our last international match was against Rwanda, and we lost. So he has to just do that, and that has put pressure on him because that match will define whether he was qualified in the first instance to have been given the job or not. Because if we drop points, I'm not saying don't win. If we drop points because a drop in that match will be likely to spell more difficulties for Nigerian national team to qualify. He is just compelled to win that match. And I'm happy for the statements he made yesterday when he was being unveiled that football is about scoring goals, even though he was a central defender as a footballer. But he believed that he is an apostle of attacking football. And that attacking he did in defeating the Super Eagles led by Benin last year in Morocco. So I believe that if it's attack oriented, and which means we must score goals, because lack of goal scoring has been the albatross that Super Eagles have been carrying. Apart from, especially under Pesero, apart from the 9-0 defeat against one of the lowest ranked team in the world, we never had any match other than 2-0 defeat of Cameroon at AFCON last year. We never had any other match in which we have a 2-goal margin, which means goal scoring has been the major problem of our national team, despite Nigeria boasting of some of the best strikers across different leagues in Europe. We talk of Osimhen, we talk of Boniface, we talk of Lukman, Ademola, and also Noah. Yet, we cannot put the combination of those things into a goal-scoring machine. If Chelle has identified that as a major problem, and that is what he wants to make us to score goals, why not? So we wait for him to deliver.
Well said, Kole. Well, let's look at this, because a lot of people know that while we all started, especially a lot of people know that we have identification of a football style, and it's just football about goal scoring and defending. Don't you think that Nigerians might not have that long and sought after football style or identity that we've always had in the past. Since football, according to his philosophy, though we know that football is about goal scoring and defending, but don't you think Nigerians, we also want us to be identified with a style of play like we do in the days of Westerhouse from the flanks, and we go straight to the goalpost, and they still go score goals, and they still defend well. Don't you think that statement might berate that kind of identity of tradition we've always known to have?
Well, everything zeroes down to the Nigerian Football Federation. It is not in our culture here or character to reveal the content of a contract signed with a coach or the modus operandi of that contract. First and foremost, I suppose Eric Chelle will be domiciled in Nigeria. That's the first yardstick to giving a team a character. Then, just like you said, in the era where Nigerian football was glorified, the era of Clemens Westerhoff, the era of Father Tico, those coaches were domiciled in Nigeria. And I remember last year, I had an encounter with Clemens Westerhoff, his house in Holland. And one of the first things he said was that living in Nigeria gave him the opportunity to shape a team into character, even though most of his players were playing in different leagues of Europe. But it gave him the opportunity to raise a domestic national team here. That is raising, just discovering stars and raising them and nurturing them into stardom. He said what he wanted to do there was that for every position in the starting 11, he must have a substitute in the domestic play. That in case anything happens abroad, at least he has something to fall back. And that can only happen if the coach is domiciled in Nigeria and watches Nigerian and also have his own style. Because the essence of paying so much for a coach, like I guess there are speculations that Chelle will be earning as high as $50,000. The essence of that is for him to also employ some scouts for himself who will look for star players for him in the domestic that can be nurtured into stardom and become useful for our national team. So the only way we can have that character if NFL compels the new coach to be domiciled in Nigeria. Before, we've always been having absentee coaches. We know that Kenneth Roy, most of the time, will saunter in the same time the players called upon are coming in to assemble for a match. Same thing with Pesero. So that era must end. And when you have a coach that is not domiciled here, that coach will be doing double job. As he's earning salary here, as an absentee coach here, he's doing some other businesses in Europe where he's staying. Yeah, so, and that means he's not really fully committed to us. But if he's here, he must attend our matches. He must watch our league matches. The league players may not be the ideal players to command what they call it, first 11 shirt. But if you invite them, if you nurture them, by the time they go back to their different clubs, they go back as better players. And if we have 3, 4, 5 clubs who supply players to the national team, and that means indirectly you are also improving on our domestic team.
Okay.
And that way, our domestic football will also grow. And that's so it becomes a win-win situation. But this thing can only happen if the NFF, the employers or the supposed employer of the new coach, speak to their gun and say you must be domiciled here. Yeah, provide a house for him, not staying in an hotel, and give him the empowerment to instill discipline, because building a good team starts with discipline.
Yes, sir.
And you need to speak with Westerhoff or any of the players who featured under him, and he will tell you about discipline. calm
So,
discipline.
Kule, because of our time,
Don't need
well
tolerate
said.
a situation.
Well said. We go on a quick break. We still have you with us, and when we come back, there's still more to talk about on the appointment of Eric Chelle as the new Super Eagles coach. That's Kunle Solaja. We go on this quick break, and when we come back, we still have him to really dissect some of the remaining issues concerning the appointment of the Malian. Welcome back. It's still 360 Sport, your favorite sport program on TV. And let's not forget, you can join us on all our social media platforms to be part of this wonderful movement. You can join us on our X account and our Facebook, not forgetting also on our Instagram. If you're just joining us, I still have Kunle Solaja with us in the studio talking about the appointment of the new Super Eagles coach, the Malian called Eric Chelle. Still have you. Let's go to, without wasting so much of our time, let's go to one or two more questions as we round up for the show today. Do you think it's difficult to say that there's a bit of luck surrounding the new coach that might make us qualify for the World Cup?
If we plan towards qualification, we will qualify. For instance, the team that is leading our group D, is Rwanda. We are meeting Rwanda next. If we beat Rwanda with our 3 points, we move to 6. Rwanda is leading the group 7 points. That means we are just 1 point behind the initial group leaders. And hopefully, too, the results in the other group might just be in our favor. Rwanda is not the only team with 7 points. I think South Africa also has 7 points. So, and the same thing with Benin Republic. So, if we're able to pick our full points in the next matches involving these countries, because as we climb, those countries too will come down because you are gaining points against them. So it is still very, very possible for us to qualify. But it's difficult, but it's not impossible. We just need to plan towards it. Pick those matches one by one. And especially we should also be aware that we have some very, very critical matches to execute. One is the away match against South Africa, which will be in South Africa. 2 is the away match against Lesotho, which will be in South Africa. So, which means we are going to South Africa 2 times in the next 6 matches we have. We are facing South Africa. We are going to South Africa 2 times, and we know that whatever the situation, there will be hostility against us.
Okay.
Yeah. So the players have to be conditioned towards that. It's not going to be a bed of roses for you when you meet South Africa in South Africa or when you meet Lesotho in South Africa.
Okay.
And then again, we have a home match against Benin here. So we should be able to pick that home match against Benin here. We have a home match against Zimbabwe here. We should be able to pick that home match against Zimbabwe here. Okay. We have another home match against Rwanda. It should be, if you are able to pick those matches, qualification puzzle would be solved for us.
Okay.
It has to do with understanding the logistics
and the team commitment.
How we're able to get to where we want to be.
Okay, also, let me say this. I don't know how true this is. Let me see whether you also heard about the fact that Osinwa Guavon will probably be his assistant, and also saw a picture of him with his crew coming together. Can we verify whether Austin Guavon will be his assistant coach or he has his own technical crew? You hear anything similar as we round up the show?
Well, according to what they said yesterday at the survey, Eric Chelle is coming with 3 assistants. I guess 1 Tunisian and another one, a Frenchman, who would be goalkeeper trainer. And at the same time, the NFF also said that the current crew will also be integrated, which means Daniel Ogumodede and Fidelis Ilechukwu, they might find role for them. But I have my fears they will just play second fiddle here because that has been the normal practice. Even in the days of Western Hall, you know the number of Nigerian assistants that were given to him, and in the end, most of them complained that they were just turned to mere voice during training session. At first, it was Sebastian Bodrick. Later, it was Christian Chukwu. Then another one, this man from Plateau State. I've forgotten his name now. So in most cases, those people will just play the second fiddle to the assistance that the man is bringing because the man already has his own team he works with. And what the Nigerian coaches can do is that they may just take that as another training session for themselves, trying to grab some training skills and be able to be the ones to take over when the man eventually leaves. And like I've said earlier on, it depends on the kind of contract he signed with the NFF or the way the NFF is related to him. The NFF can make it. Since he's been employed as a technical advisor, he should also be able to impart technical ability to Nigerian coaches here in Nigeria.
Kule Solaja, last question, and I want you to help us in a few minutes as time is no longer a companion. 2 years contract, 2027. Is that a good one, or what should we be expecting in a nutshell as time has left us behind?
Well, what I expect is turning the Super Eagles into a goal-scoring machine, like the man has said itself. So that's one thing we will hold, at least in our assessment of him. He said football is about goal-scoring, and is going to turn the Super Eagles into a goal-scoring machine. We wait for that to unfold, and we eagerly expect that to happen because it is in our own collective interest that the Super Eagles begin to score goals with reckless abandon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kule Solaja. Thank you for your time.
You are welcome.
Yes, you've been talking with Kule Solaja on the new Super Eagles coach, Eric Chelle, who is a Malian. He was unveiled in Abuja after so many days of looking at who is going to replace Finidi George. But we have this man, and we hope that the next 2 years, Nigeria will probably qualify for the World Cup. And like Kule said, most Nigerians want to believe that Nigeria will be a football goal-scoring Super Eagles side. And that's all on today's program. I am Mudashiv Shitu. Same time next week, we'll be giving you all what you need to know in the world of sport. But don't forget to join us on all our social media platforms where the conversation never ends. And keep watching 360 Sports. Bye for now.